It's May 3rd, 2020, and my upload today that is going to be a little bit of a busy upload because there's a lot to be discussed with regards to the entire issue of hate crime and women's rights and human rights. That is an ongoing issue of contention and a lot of disruption also in society and within the agencies involved also. So this is a busy upload with discussions basically with regard to women's rights in particular, and how women think that by denigrating and impoverishing a qualified professional, as is the case in my circumstances, due to their a claim that they are seeking, trying to be up on top of the pedestal while knocking off a few women that have worked their way up before them. So this issue has been ongoing, and throughout my entire channel of uploads, it's seemingly repetitive, but this is going on such a long time, and the preventative measures by those women and men that are obstructing my rights, my constitutional rights, have delayed and prevented the assistance that I am seeking. Um, Defamation of character is very serious, as we are all aware. And as I've mentioned in my uploads, there's been the issue of isolation that's been going on. People ostracizing and displacing Emer Griffin McElligott from her homes, basically. And now I'm currently in a HAPS accommodation, and the same issues are occurring. So, as a victim of these culprits of hate crime and culprits of medical negligence, these issues of denigration, displacement, and defamation are all the matters that I've had to contend with without my legal rights and legal guidance being provided to me. So I'm coping with this on my own. And as a victim, it's pretty scandalous in 2020 for this to be happening. But collectively, hate crime is being perpetrated and being facilitated. With regards to medical negligence, it's bad enough for a woman's body to be disrespected in sexual assaults, but it's more serious for professionals to disrespect the female anatomy, the female body. So that's bad enough to be contending with. But the defamation, as a teacher, for other people to be saying what they're saying, completely unsubstantiated, without any involvement with their target or victim, myself, Emer McElligott, without any involvement with me, to be broadcasting and seeking notoriety and acclaim for work that they haven't done, as I've mentioned, masquerading themselves as um, advocates for women's rights and fantastic initiatives, but with this undercurrent of hate crime being perpetrated also. So the defamation I've had to tolerate is quite serious. The obstruction of justice is worse, especially in 2020. Legislative information and facts that have been withheld from me also have been, you know, very embarrassing. As an educated individual, as a qualified professional, I like to be furnished with what I need to be told about. As an adult, as an adult citizen, I like to be consulted with regards to what people are doing to my body. As an adult, I like my privacy respected. I think it's very serious when any initiative deemed progressive or in the name of development or progress um, is perpetrated without consultation and indirectly or directly causes harm or damage to the individual that they are conducting work on. research, whatever, any of those kind of practices that are perpetrated in this day and age are all very serious offences, especially when it involves unethical and immoral and illegal developments that aren't actually standardised and aren't actually approved by EU law. So there's the issue of defamation that I've contended with. There's the issue of um, violations of privacy and breaches of confidentiality. There's the issue of medical negligence and bodily integrity violations. The next issue that I'm going to just briefly discuss is the issue of people accessing information. Information is private. The Freedom of Information of 2014 is for people to access information safely and lawfully. People using modern means, so to speak, to attain information that they're not actually entitled to and are breaching privacy laws by actually violating not only the domicile or the habitual residence of a private citizen, but to be attaining information by unethical means when not authorised to do so are all serious matters that I've had to contend with as well. So, as I've mentioned, while all of these offences are extremely serious, and while there are even more serious and preventative measures being placed in my way, obstructing the United Nations to address the 28 violations of the Declaration of Human Rights that are occurring, this issue of bodily integrity and medical incompetence is a serious concern. So, as I've said, this is quite a busy upload, but this is just an update. So, since however many days I haven't been sharing, but this is also of relevance that with regard to the hate crime and women falsifying their way as advocates of progress and movements, etc., while being very guilty culprits of defamation and other offences, such as I'm describing in these uploads, the issue of mental health is of a concern. And there's been much research done about hate crime and mental health. And hate crime affects a victim more than the culprits. The culprits they deem as sane, but when unjustifiably perpetrating hate crime and deluding and deceiving people, I have queries about the mental health of the culprits. So, as I've mentioned, I've experienced outrageous intrusions, not only preventing me from the assistance that I require, the legal assistance, the legal guidance that I require, the protective measures that I require, as a person whose bodily integrity has been exploited and damaged also, the issue of UN agencies being obstructed from helping with regards to the women and children's violations that are occurring is all very serious. So the issue of hate crime and mental health is a huge concern. They say there are three professions that you should never dispute, apparently, and that's doctors, lawyers, and authorities. I find the abuse of power absolutely horrendous. I find people abusing their positions and violating a person's human rights and constitutional rights very dangerous. I find the fact that my marital rights have been disrespected and that there are individuals that have disrespected also the concept of women's rights. Women are not for bargaining and are not for bartering. And women's rights and marital rights are always to be respected. With regards to the hate crime and the issue of vendetta of violations of human rights occurring also I've had quite a lot to contend with since I gave birth and got married in 2015. But I'm coping, simply due to fellowship and recovery from over 10 years ago. And there are people, as I've mentioned, um, that have perpetrated the most dangerous spiritual violence I could ever um, describe, but would not be able to because it was so horrendous. On 3 occasions, the assaults of spiritual violence since I gave birth in this country has been horrendous. And these people have proclaimed to be reformed. They proclaim to be making amends, but yet their vendetta is still continuing in a different vein. So it's all very dangerous. Mind games are at play. People aren't thinking straight at all. And the worrying part about it, when it comes to issues of human rights and, say, artificial intelligence or any progressive developments in that area with regards to how AI is basically used for truth and justice. And when truth and justice is disrespected, and when principles are overlooked, and when popularity and parading around and masquerades of falsehoods and false information, when all of this is facilitated, then that is quite disturbing. So AI is about, different things really. I wouldn't be au fait with all of the matters of AI, but truth and justice is one of the particular big interests that I've contended with in some readings, as well as the mental health issue and hate crime. So those are the two things that have occurred or been of relevance in this vendetta. And when people aren't thinking straight and when they're being manipulated, then the truth and justice are manipulated and compromised as well. So those people that are playing mind games and trying to sway people into their way of thinking to get away with what damages they're guilty of, and when they're trying to falsify information and using modern technology to falsify and to fake their way out of a situation and obstructing justice, then that's a very serious issue for the United Nations as well. So this is a very busy upload. This is an update. There's very serious violations that I'm still contending with. And since this all occurred, I have been trying to get the assistance that I need, and it has been obstructed intentionally due to um, the guilty culprits trying endlessly to squirm their way out of the troubles that they've caused. So this is ongoing. This is the second character assault in the past 15 years. The first being around sexual assault and revenge porn and defamation that damaged my career as a teacher. And the most recent assault since I gave birth in 2015, which has involved trespassing on my marital property, children's violations, children's rights violations, more dangerous defamation, etc., etc. So these people are in society, and I'm wondering about mental health of these people that are causing these problems and are being facilitated and that are basically responsible for daylight robbery. I want to live in my marital home. I want my marital rights respected. I want my medical rights respected. I want my privacy respected. There's lots I could say that I want, but I am entitled to have my marital rights respected. And those people trespassing onto farm holdings that they have no claim to whatsoever is also a very dangerous aspect of all of this. So when people are obstructing and isolating in a tactic to avoid the damage that they've done, I think very strongly that the tactics of isolation and undermining a woman who is fully entitled professionally, spiritually, ethically, morally, etc., etc., withholding the legal knowledge that I'm entitled to be informed of, and any knowledge regarding legislation that I'm entitled to be informed of, is a huge concern. Withholding information as a means to avoid and to further impinge on a person's human rights and constitutional rights is absolutely outrageous. So those people faking their way into property and privacy that they have no right to be even near is a huge concern also regarding the human rights violations I'm experiencing. My profession has been damaged as a teacher, as a qualified LCS, Language and Cultural Studies student from the University of Limerick, and as a teacher qualified from Hibernia College. These matters are absolutely horrendous. In a small community with a dangerous collective of individuals um, using very unethical means to sway public interest and to scaremonger people, scaremongering and coercing individuals into circumstances that people wouldn't normally ever be condoning. So, this is a very morose situation that's been caused, and I'm still looking for the human rights agencies to acknowledge these circumstances. At a local level, there's been absolutely horrendous circumstances occurring, and unfortunately, public opinion is being swayed by trendsetters that aren't very honest. So the UN in Europe are the only agency that I am placing my faith in today on the 3rd of May 2020, the year of full vision, of clear seeing and honesty and truth and justice. And those manipulating truth and justice and accessing information unethically, there are all very serious implications. And as regards the spiritual violence I've experienced, um, that is even more horrendous. So these uploads might seem repetitive, but this is ongoing identity theft, financial theft, spiritual violence, children's rights violations, etc., etc. So those that are guilty of these offences, I worry about your mental health, and those falsifying information. I'm very concerned for the agencies throughout this country and throughout Europe that are also possible targets of these people falsifying information and accessing information unethically and without permission. And people playing mind games and fooling others into bad decisions, bad circumstances. Um, I hope people are being careful these days. But with regards to legalities and lawfulness and justice, I hope the authorities and officials of justice basically are aware of these uploads and the content and significance of these uploads for everyone involved. So that's my upload for today. A busy upload, as I've mentioned. Factual. This is a reality. This is occurring. Very dangerous, deluded individuals in society, purporting to be of a worthy cause that is actually causing a lot of damage, and deluded individuals stealing, lying, and thieving from Emer Griffin McElligott, and without any conscience or remorse for the damage they're doing. So the UN, if you're not too busy, Mrs. McElligott in Tralee County Kerry is in urgent need of assistance with regards to very serious violations of human rights that are occurring.